The Chaos Emeralds are a vital part to any Sonic game, and in the early stages of the franchise, the way to gain these emeralds was through the special stages. The special stages are basically bonus games that you need to do something extra to go to, like getting 50 rings and reaching the end of a checkpoint, or getting 50 rings and reaching the end of the level, for example. The evolution of these stages is very interesting to look at in the early Sonic titles. So today, join me in taking a look at the special stages in Sonic 1 through Sonic 3. I will look at every aspect of these special stages to get a really good grasp of how the classic Sonic games treat the idea of special stages. I decided to cap it at Sonic 3, as after Sonic 3, the special stages either change drastically or get cut from future games, so I kind of think this is a great place to cap it off at, and just to do an overall 4-game arc makes it clean and smooth. If you want me to look at other special stages in the franchise from other games, be sure to let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to hit that sub button. We're a growing channel and any sub helps. Let's get into the video. So starting off with Sonic 1, we have a very unique take on the idea of a special stage. First off, there are only 6 Chaos Emeralds instead of the usual 7, so that cuts out one of the special stages as well, and the only thing you get for getting all 6 of the Emeralds is a better ending. It's the first game in the series, so the devs are just feeling out what worked and what didn't work, so there's a little bit of vagueness and basicness to this game, of course. Getting into the special stages takes 50 rings and jumping into the big ring at the end of a level. I like this approach. It's simple and easy to understand, so nothing to really complain about here. So going into the stage itself, this sure is a special stage. The idea behind it is guiding Sonic through this maze and getting the Chaos Emerald at the end. You mostly have to go through these fake emerald things. I don't really know what they are, like rocks. I don't know. It's hard to tell. And hit them multiple times to get into the main one. I don't know if it's because I don't play Sonic 1 that much, but these special stages always feel like it's luck, and it just feels like a struggle to beat it, in my opinion. It feels like you have no control of where you go, and the level kind of plays itself, so that's my biggest complaint with these. The music is solid, and the background has to be one of the developers' acid trips, so it makes these stages stick out in my mind, and I guess as a whole. Overall, Sonic 1 special stages are a decent starting point that can hopefully only get better as we move along. I can't critique these stages too much. It's the first in the first series in the game. It's really hard to just be like, yeah, these suck, but they didn't have an idea. They're just throwing ideas at the wall and hoping they stuck. So, hey, they exist. They get referenced later on in a couple other games. The music's solid, like I said. And yeah, I think these are fine. Probably the worst out of the 4 games, but they're harmless in my mind. So let's move on to the next game. Next up, we have Sonic CD, which does something similar and some things different from Sonic 1 with its special stages. First off, you technically don't even have to do these stages if you want the best possible ending, and that makes this game stick out compared to the other classic Sonic games. Instead of the special stages, you can go back into the past and break all of these generators in each level, so it gives the game more replayability and just an identity compared to the other 3 games in the classic Sonic era. But to get into the special stages, it's the same as Sonic 1, so again, no complaints there. So instead of Chaos Emeralds, we are getting Time Stones, and there are 7 of them, so we're at the standard number of special stages now. Going into these special stages, I really like the idea behind them, but they feel clunky. The idea is to break all of these UFOs in the time limit to get the Time Stone. If you step into the water, you lose a ton of time, and there is a time UFO that can sometimes spawn that'll give you more time as well. The idea is cool, but the hitboxes on these UFOs are absolutely abysmal. This was in the era where developers were doing, I can't believe it's not 3D with their games, so it looks 3D, but it really isn't at the same time, and it just dates these stages a lot. It's hard to see where the walls are, it's hard to see where the water cuts off at, and overall it can be challenging to hit these UFOs, but you're given a lot of time, so I think the challenge in these special stages is pretty fair as a whole. Overall, I like the Sonic CD special stages more than Sonic 1 special stages, purely based on the idea, but I have more fun with these ones as well, so that kind of adds up. It's a cooler idea, and I think it's just better executed than the Sonic 1 special stages. Also, the music is absolutely top tier. Sonic CD's Japanese soundtrack is absolutely top tier in general, but the special stage theme is one of my favorite themes, probably from classic Sonic. I absolutely love this theme. And yet again, we have acid trip visuals, so I'm seeing a theme with Sega in the 90s here, but overall I like these special stages a whole lot. I think if they were fleshed out, maybe you put them like the Sonic Mania style. It's kind of like Sonic Mania kind of borrows from this one a little bit actually, so I do like it a lot. The idea is cool, and they kind of have their own unique flair to them, so I like these a lot. I'm gonna put them probably slightly above Sonic 1's but I still think they're super solid. Let's move on to the next game. Next up, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Sonic 2 might be the most famous example of a special stage in the Sonic franchise. First off, the way to get to these special stages is different. Instead of the 50 rings at the end of a stage, now it's 50 rings and then jump into the portal that spawns above any checkpoint in a level. I love this approach as it allows you to get multiple emeralds in one level if you're good enough, so it rewards mastery of the game. Getting into the special stages themselves, it's what you may have heard before called the half pipe. Basically, you collect rings in this half pipe to pass through checkpoints until you get the emerald. So the first check may be 70 rings, the second one might be 100, and the last one might be 130. And after that third one, you get the emerald. You'll have to dodge spikes and almost predict where the rings will end up. So it's you're kind of having to memorize the level design a little bit, but also just put Sonic in a position where you can gather as many rings as possible. And you kind of have to deal with the slippery controls. They're not great, but I think it's kind of the point of these levels, right? Being honest, I suck at these special stages, and I think that's why I'm not a huge fan of them, but I can't deny that they work super well for a classic Sonic game. It works so well, in fact, that they reuse the same idea and the structure a ton throughout the series, so I really hope you like it, because if you don't, well, have fun. But the biggest difference with Sonic 2 special stages is the reward. You still get the best possible ending, of course, but you get a small little reward called Super Sonic for getting all 7 emeralds. You may have heard about this before. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like a lesser known thing, smaller reward type thing, but Super Sonic makes getting all the emeralds so worth it, and was the start of one of the coolest additions to any Sonic game, and as big of a staple as most of the main characters are in the franchise. Unfortunately, we don't get acid trip backgrounds this time, and the music for these special stages is pretty catchy, nothing crazy, but it's solid. Overall, Sonic 2 special stages did a lot for the franchise, and although they aren't my favorite in the franchise, they are probably the most important and the most iconic. I feel like most of the 2D games we see later on, like Sonic Rush reuses this, some of the other games I think reuse this as well, like some of the Dimps developed games as well, but overall it's kind of just iconic, and this isn't the best iteration of them, but they are still pretty solid, so I like these for what they are. I'm just not very good at them, so that's kind of my take on it. So let's move on to the next game. The last game we're going to cover today is Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which has by far the most amount of special stages and the most amount of special stage content in a classic Sonic game. So first off, this is the first game where you get super forms with all the characters. Tails couldn't go super in the last game, so that's a huge improvement, and obviously we have Knuckles now, so it's just an overall huge improvement. Next, the way to get into the special stages has changed again. There are these big rings scattered across every level, and all you have to do is find them and enter them. No ring count needed. This, in my opinion, is the best way to handle special stages in any classic Sonic game, as it encourages exploration, which is a key element of classic Sonic, as well as rewarding multiple playthroughs. So you might find one of these rings when you play through the game for like the 5th time, and it's cool. You're discovering new things about a game that you've been playing for so long. I love things like that. On top of getting the super forms for the first time in the franchise, we get a final level through the emeralds, being the Doomsday Zone. It's a pretty basic level, kind of Sonic just ramming into Eggman and aiming missiles into him, but it's a massive addition to the franchise, as many future games, 2D and 3D, copy this idea. If all of that wasn't enough, Sonic 3 gives us 2 sets of emeralds. We have the regular Chaos Emeralds and the Super Emeralds, which is the only game that they appear in. And when you collect all of them, you get Hyper Mode for Hyper Sonic and Hyper Knuckles, as well as Super Tails. One of the reasons why I love Sonic 3 is this feature. It's so cool to have 2 sets of emeralds, and it's a shame that they never bring it back. It's a really unique feature and makes Sonic 3 stick out way more than any other game. I love the Super Emeralds and the Hyper Forms, and also, yes, Tails has the Super Emeralds just to go super, so that's weird. He doesn't go super based off the Chaos Emeralds, he needs the Super Emeralds to go. I don't know, man. So now getting to the special stages themselves, we have Blue Sphere, which is my favorite set of special stages in this series. Basically, you have to get all the blue spheres in the stage while avoiding the red ones. Pretty basic. Over time, the level will speed up, and the challenging thing is this like Mario Galaxy planet type thing. You kind of have to loop around, and it makes it difficult to track where you're at. So think of it as like a precursor. Again, it's kind of the like, I can't believe it's not 3D thing, a precursor to the Mario Galaxy format. You're looping around this like spherical thing, and you're just collecting these blue spheres, avoiding the red ones, and it gets faster and faster. It's a good challenge. I love them because it's not like super challenging, but it's not super easy either. I think it strikes that right balance. You can't just, first time get these done. You got to practice a little bit, get better, but it's rewarding. We get 14 of them in the base game, which is the most we have gotten for a special stage. by far, I think, in the franchise. I could be wrong on that, but it is a lot of content. I think they fit super well into this game, and I'm surprised these have really been brought back into the franchise. I believe they've only been brought back in Sonic Mania. Obviously, Blue Sphere kind of had its own mode in the Sega Genesis games with the lock-on cartridge for Sonic and Knuckles, but that's its own thing, not really in a Sonic game, right? Overall, the special stages in Sonic 3 are excellent and have excellent rewards for going out of your way to complete them. This is the peak of the special stage in classic Sonic games for me, maybe even 2D Sonic as a whole. I feel like the previous 3 games helped shape Sonic 3's special stages and feel like a true masterpiece. And the developers used everything they knew, everything they learned to craft the perfect special stage for a classic Sonic game. Well, that's an evolution of the special stages in the Genesis era of Sonic. I think looking at these made me realize that these are the parts of the games that developers really just threw ideas out. They had an idea, they had a vision, or they wanted to test the hardware in a unique way. They put it out there and just kind of hoped it worked. I think it works in most cases, and I think all 4 of these cases are pretty good, and they're pretty solid special stages, but you can definitely tell that uniqueness in a lot of ways with these special stages. I don't think there are any flat out bad ones in this era. If I had to rank them from worst to best, it would be Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic CD, and then Sonic 3 from worst to best. But hey, that's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think of this topic down in the comments below. Do you really like Sonic 2 special stages? Do you really like Sonic CDs? Do you like Sonic 1s? Do you think Sonic 3 is the best and you agree with me? Do you think that these are kind of weird additions to the game? Do you even like the special stages? I want to hear everything in the comments below. I love this topic. I think it's a really unique thing about the 2D Sonic games, really the unique thing about any Sonic game. It's really out there, and it's kind of a very striking thing with the Sonic franchise. It sticks out very well in my mind. But with all that being said, I hope you all have a great day. Be sure to hit that sub button down below if you like this video, and I hope to see you back here for the next video. Take care, everyone.